Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pickleball Crew. We are a group of pickleball fanatics based in southeast Louisiana and are passionate about all things pickleball everywhere. Our focus is to inform, acknowledge those who help build the game regionally, and promote tournaments in our area. We do our best to present this with a love of the sport, a sense of humor, and a lot of fun. So join Vicki Wynn, Ken Wynn, Jeff Fuchsia, and me, Bud Klein, in our latest episode. We are glad you are along for the ride. In this week's episode, the crew is going to break down and discuss what we think are 5 keys to improving your game, Simplified. This should be of interest to all of us, and the crew is eager to hear your comments. Hello out there, and welcome to podcast number 37 of the Pickleball Crew. This week, the crew is going to talk about 5 keys to improving your game, Simplified. And we're going to start off with Jeff.
Okay, so we kind of come up with 5 things that we thought were really important. The first 3 things that we're going to discuss is actually the progression of shots in a pickleball point, starting with the serve and then going on to the 5th and 6th shot. And as we get into it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'll start us off. The first thing is serve deep and return deep. When we serve the ball deep, we're making that person's return harder. And when we return deep, we're making the 3rd shot harder. So if you can focus on that right off the bat, your serve and your return, trying to keep them both deep, you can make the next shot tougher for your opponents.
I just tell you that, we saw it yesterday, as a matter of fact, and that was a serve that was pretty deep. I forget who was, returning it, but whoever served it had sort of moved in a little bit. And again, here lies in, do not do that, because the minute your opponent gets used to you doing that, they're going to start trying more and more to hit that ball deep as a return to push you back and get you uncomfortable. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. And they got jammed and unable to even send the ball back over. So I think that is something really key to watch out for as a server. Make sure you're not moving into too much.
Another thing about not hitting a deep return and sitting here looking at Ken, if you don't hit a deep return with somebody like Ken and you don't hit it to the middle, he's going to return it short and wide, and you're not going to get it. So you got to keep that server back a little bit, and even the returner server, you got to keep them back so you can get yourself in a proper position.
And y'all, I think we get lulled to sleep in people's returns and serves. You play against a variety of people. So if you're playing in rec games and you've played 3 games with people that have weaker serves, you're going to be up on the line closer. And then you come up against that power server like Ken's serve, like Jody Scarfenstein's serve. You just got to make that adjustment and try to make it the same way with people. Some people's returns are just, Ken's returns are strong. Tony Althemot's returns are strong. You better make that adjustment and get back on that. And it might be, if Tony's playing with a weaker player, you might have to get back on Tony's return, but then come up a little bit on the player that he's playing with. It's not as strong of a returner. And somebody would say, well, that's a lot of thinking. Well, it is a lot of thinking, but it's key in getting your body in the right position.
Yeah, and you don't have to hit those deep returns and those deep serves hard. The key is deep.
Yeah.
And make the person taking that shot stay behind the service line. Again, you can serve hard if you want and deep, but even I don't serve hard and deep. I try to just serve it deep.
And on our return and on our third, we need to be back because we're trying to move forward to the net with your momentum. So if you're constantly on that back foot, not only is your shot quality going to go down, but you're not moving in the right direction and you're not going to get there quick enough. How many times we do it, but you see it a lot. Somebody will return the ball and they have trouble getting up to that net and getting situated there. And they end up getting caught. And like I say, it happens to us too.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it kind of in a nutshell, the deep return, a deep serve and deep return, that is to force the person that's returning the serve or returning the return of serve, they've got more real estate that you're creating the maximum amount of real estate for that person to now cover to get up to that no volley zone or to get as close to that no volley zone as they can. And I would actually caveat that deep serve with moving them around on a serve. Don't make your deep serve predictable so that somebody's able to key on. If they know where you're going every time with your serve, then they can kind of key on it, and you've turned your advantage to a disadvantage. So mix up your serves: a lob deep serve, a flat deep serve. Go to the forehand, go to the backhand. Keep them guessing, and don't have a predictable pattern to your serve or return a serve. So
I agree, Ken. Just keep them deep. Move them
Mhm.
around and keep them deep.
Yeah, and as we segue into number two, which we'll get into number two right out here in just a second, the serve and return are tone setters. A good serve, a good return can set the tone for the entire point. You may not win it till 5 shots down the road, but that good serve or good return might set you up for that. All right, so Ken, why don't you take us to number two?
So number two is get to the no volley zone. I'll tell you, as far as on a return to serve, whether you hit a lob return to serve or a flat return to serve or an underspin return to serve, you need to do whatever it takes to get to that no volley zone, because look, we all know that the returning team has an advantage with one person already up at the no volley zone. So your number one goal as the service returner is to get to the no volley zone. And the same is true for the serving team. Their goal is now to get up to that no volley zone as well. But the returning team has the advantage by already having one person up there. So I would rather have my partner hit a lob return or lofty return deep and have them take their time getting up there, get up to that no volley zone, but have enough time to get up to the no volley zone rather than hitting a good flat return and they get caught in the transition or get caught still moving as the ball is being returned back to them. So get to the no volley zone is number two, and we can all chime in more on it, but that's some key points I think we'll getting to the no volley zone.
Nothing drives me more crazy than when I'm returning serve and my partner stays back at the baseline. That just drives me. You just turn around and they're still back there waiting for the next shot instead of hustling it up.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just needing you said it, bud. It's needing to hustle up to get to that line, because you don't want to just get there. You want to get there and get settled in. That's why the person that's already up, that's not receiving the serve, they're stable. That's why you don't want to hit at that person sometimes. But it's not just getting there; it's getting there on time where you can get settled in to be able to take that next shot that's coming.
Well, not only that, but if you don't hustle, you're going to get caught in the transition zone. And you're going to be playing a shot off your feet. You're just not going to be in the right position to take that next shot. I'd much rather volley a shot coming at me than try to take it off the ground with a half volley or at my feet volley.
Now, Vicki, the flip side of that is our third shot and trying to get to the net. Do you want to help us expand on that a little bit?
Sure. I think, again, the third shot drop is ideally the best thing that you can do to get yourself up there. It's, again, hopefully an unattackable ball that they can't do much with. It's going to give you that time that you need to get to the no volley line. And quite possible it can help set up your partner for a poach or put away, whatever it may be. If that person's unprepared for it, that drop can be not just a way for you to get in, but it also can be something pretty offensive. But if for some reason you can't, the drive is okay. Again, just be smart where you put the drive. And again, you're using that to try to work your way in. So you definitely want to get to the transition zone if you can. The minute you see the other side hitting the ball, getting ready to hit the ball, split step, stop, and be ready for whatever comes your way. In some cases, you can make it all the way in. Just depends on where you place that ball. You go to a corner, strong to the opposite corner, cross court, nice and deep, but really wide. You can sometimes buy yourself a tremendous amount of time to get in. And you just have to keep in mind on both of these areas that that's your ultimate goal, is to get up there.
I think you can use third shot drive, fifth shot drop, or your drop shot, depending on what works best in your game. A good, well-rounded player is going to have both of those tools in the toolbox. But I don't think enough emphasis gets put on getting to the net when you're the serving team. I was talking with Ken and Vicki earlier, Bud. We were on the phone discussing some of this, and I think if you keep stats, let's say you watch four players playing, and you keep stats on, okay, Team A got to the net 15 times during this match. Team B got to the net 6 times during this match. Team A is going to probably more than likely win that match 90-something% of the time. So it's something that you don't hear it talked about. We always hear talk about third shot drops and hitting your shots, but you have got to be able to get in that vehicle, to get transition to the net to win pickleball games. And if you can't do that, you need to work on those skills to get yourself to the net.
Right. And caution to those of us who come from that tennis background, and I know we mentioned this a good bit, and that is to be careful that you're not just returning that ball, driving it and driving it really hard and running on in and running through the return of what's coming back to you. You've got less time than you do in tennis. It's not the same thing. And you need to be really aware of that. And I think that trick that you guys taught a long time ago, and that is to, the minute you see somebody getting ready to hit the ball, split step and stop. You have to make yourself think about that. That's not something that we're used to doing as tennis players. And you need to think about it.
Developing this skill of getting to the net, Vicki, in your opinion, what's the best way to get that skill going?
Well, again, I think drilling and focusing on that with even just 2 people on the court, you can do skinny singles and work at it. And whoever is returning it, they can return and work on moving in. You can play the points out if you like, and that way the server can also work on getting themselves in. If they get stuck in the transition zone, how do they transition from that to the no volley line? Those are great. It's a great way to practice both of those skills. And another way we do it is in drills is even just sending the ball to each other and practicing return deep and just move in, go back, do it again, and do it over and over until it becomes second nature to you.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, so Bud, why don't you tell us what the third progression is? Before Bud says that, I want everybody to notice that this is a progression of a point. So this is going to be one of the third things. So if you work on these 3 things and develop these skills that we're talking about, you're playing the first 6, 7 points out of a pickleball game and actually working on those things. So, Bud, why don't you tell us what number 3 is?
Yeah, number 3 is dinking. And I just, to me, in pickleball, that was the hardest skill to master. And I say that because a lot of people, when we get to the court and we're getting ready to play, everybody dinks. We dink back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We do that 20 or 30 times and we think we're ready. But that's not the case. Dinking and being able to be consistent at it and repetitive at it takes a lot of practice. You can't do it just standing at the net in front of somebody going back and forth. You have to practice your backhand dink, cross court, backhand dink, straight ahead, forehand dink, cross court, forehand dink, straight ahead. And that has to be done multiple times. You can't just do it really quick at the beginning of your pickleball day. And Vicki, I know, and we all talk about drilling, and this is one of the things that we do when we drill. I mean, when we drill, we spend probably what, Vicki, the first half hour is
Absolutely.
nothing but basic, basic dinking. It's not fancy.
Mhm.
It's just basic back and forth over and over and over until dinking just becomes second nature.
I was going to say, and I'm going to turn it to you after this. You can attest to this. I think just by nature, when people hear dinking, they think, oh, that's just an easy little shot. I don't really need to work on it that much. So in our drills, we really got to focus in. When you're done, our butt should be hurting because you were staying down low and trying to do it and really, really dig in and sink your teeth into it because it's such an important skill.
There's no doubt. And I stress it all the time about getting low, following that ball. And even when we teach beginners, we talk a lot about the importance of this shot and how important it is to know just even how to feel calm with it, how to follow the ball, get your body behind it. And it's funny to think that it does seem like this simple little shot and it's no big deal. I'm just going to dink it over. When you get into a dink battle in a match, it's intense. People don't realize how intense it can get, and it's mental. Most of the time we're rushing or we're not expecting somebody to be pushing us. There's a lot of focus that needs to happen at that no volley line. And I truly believe that getting yourself behind that ball, which means you cannot be standing still on your feet or being in the upright position. You just cannot do it and do it successfully, especially when you have somebody who's really good at it on the other side that's going to challenge you and move you around. Ken, you say this all the time. One step, make them take a step, because there's so many people that don't practice this and they don't have that art of moving to the side and getting behind the ball. Use your paddle to follow the ball down. And the other big thing is taking that pause. We always think we don't have a lot of time, and you do. If you just take that little bit of a pause, you'll then be able to place the ball where you want it to go.
I think we each have our own threshold of how many shots we're comfortable with before we end up speeding up the ball. The thing is, the pros, their threshold is 30, 40 shots that they'll stay in a dink match, moving the other person around. And that's where we've got to raise our level of threshold. A lot of times in rec play, that second, third, fourth shot, we feel like, and I'll say that we collectively feel like we have to turn that into a winner. And that ball is still a below the net ball. And it's a ball that you just need to keep sending back over. But instead of sending it back over in a predictable way, move your opponent around a little bit, to the forehand, to the body, to the backhand. Make them take a step. Most people are comfortable when the ball comes to their paddle. Make them take a step and hit the shot, or make them take a dink out of the air, and mixing it up that way, and that can give you a little bit of an advantage. But we all have to work on those dinks so we raise our threshold of how many shots that we can continue to stay into a dink rally.
And I think to Bud's point about warming up, we talked about this earlier on the phone. People have a tendency to think of the dink as a way to warm up to be able to go play. That, first and foremost, is not a warm up, people. That's, your body is not doing a whole lot unless you really are engaged and moving around. Whether or not that's even thorough enough to be considered a warm up is questionable. But the other thing that people do is they only dink head on when they warm up for matches.
Right.
And you warm up cross court. You have to get used to that as well. And that's what I was going to say. And it goes to the psyche of, this is just a little warm up. And when they're not used to being in dink battles, it makes sense that they're not used to, well, what do I need to warm up that for when I might not be using it? But it is important. You need to learn how to do it, learn how to get it in your matches, even in rec play, and warm up cross court just as much, both directions, just as much as you do head on.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your level of play and you're content with serving hard, returning to return hard, back and forth like that, then forget everything we just said. Okay. it's not going to change until you learn the drop shot and until you learn how to be patient dinking and then how to take the shot when it's there to take. But if you
Yeah.
just want to sit back in the backcourt and just bang at each other, again, forget everything we're saying here because it's not going to matter.
So, as far as we've talked about dinking and how important it is. Who has some ideas on how you can best work on this?
Well, I think again we talk about drills, but drilling and dinking is the easiest thing to do. You only need two people, and you can do every type of dink that you need to master with another person. To me, Jeff, it's just repeat, 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 repeat until the muscle memory is there. And
Yeah.
But even at that, when I get in a rec game, I'm just amazed at how well I can do in a drilling session. But I get in a game and I can't make the shot.
Yeah, so
And it's because I still haven't done it enough.
Yeah, and that's the nuts and bolts of it, Bud, as far as the mechanics of hitting that dink. But I was meaning more of what type game situation can we put this in as far as a drilling, what's the word? A drilling type that we could do.
I think skinny singles is a great one. Skinny singles, you're gonna be practicing getting to the net. You're gonna be doing cross court dinks. You're gonna be doing head on dinks. You're gonna be trying to get somebody to dink to their backhand. All of that. One on one. If you don't want to just dink, 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 then play skinny singles.
Yeah.
Well, and we do the drill too, where you have to hit the ball 6 times before you can actually get a point.
Yep.
And it's amazing. It's not everybody's favorite way to start out their games, but I mean, you just can't believe the difference in what people do and how they respond when they know they can't do anything else with it, but keep it in play for 6 hits before you put it away. And so that forces the whole idea of getting to the no volley line and starting a dink battle.
And then from there,
it also teaches you proper footwork and getting back in position. I think a lot of times, and I notice this when we drill, Vicki, people will, like if we're cross-court drilling, they'll get out there to the side and they'll stay out there.
Right.
And just keep hitting it back. You got to learn that once you hit the ball, you still have to get back into position in case the ball goes the other way. And I think you got to be careful when you're drilling that you're moving back and forth, back and forth. It isn't just stand there and hit it back. You got to move.
That's right. It should hurt the next day.
You should be tired after you do that. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm a little winded after that first half hour every day we drill.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're just dinking. That's all we're doing is dinking.
Yep.
Right.
And not everybody has the luxury of a drill group like this group has. So before Vicki and I were in drill groups, the one thing that we used to try to do is to get out to a court and go to an open court ourselves and take that 15 minutes to hit 100 dinks straight on, 100 dinks cross court to one side, 100 dinks cross court to the other side. And that for a while there was part of our warm up. And again, we're just trying to reinforce that muscle memory. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to find a way to reinforce that muscle memory, learn that muscle memory, so that you just become more and more comfortable with staying in a dink rally.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you bringing up another thought of mine, and that was to challenge yourself. And even if it is just 2 of you, like we used to do, count. You can't believe the difference of counting and not counting. How many more times you keep it going when you're counting. It makes you focus. It makes you stay in it. And so you challenge yourself to beat your number each time. And the other thing I always encourage is targets. Set yourself up 2 targets on each side of each person. And as you're practicing your dinks, practice going from one target to the other. And it will help you learn to move the ball around during your dink battles on the other side. Number 4 is at the no volley line. And that is determining what's below the net. And you're going to consider that ball unattackable. And then above the net, consider the ball attackable. And Jeff, I'm going to chime in here and throw in your zones. I like using those, the green, yellow, and red, and learning to use those zones and determine. Some people like to say if that ball is just below the net, then I know I'm not going hard on it. That is definitely not the time to rush the ball anywhere. You just want to send it back as a dink, reset and dink. Whether you're bouncing it or whether you're taking it out of the air, if it's coming soft enough, you just want to send it back as a dink. Above the net, and you look at what maybe is a yellow zone, and I love to always bring out that, like Ken and Bruce's yellow zone is much larger than my yellows. So I have a much smaller yellow zone that I have to be cautious with trying to speed the ball up. I have to know that I don't have enough time to do it. And that takes a lot of practice and a lot of focus, because we want to speed the ball up if we think we've got that room and that gap above the net. But it takes a lot of focus, and again, not rushing. Take a breath and think about it. And again, anything above the shoulders, green light, and that's a put away. And I just think that you, again, want to play the odds, want to play your numbers. What are you going to be more successful doing? Are you trying to build a point? Are you trying just to put the ball away? Again, structuring and staying in those battles sometimes gives you a better opportunity somewhere else to put the ball away much safer, or you're able to set your partner up for a put away just by hanging on a little bit longer.
I want to make sure we're clear here. It's not just at the dink line we're talking about. We're also talking transition zone. And again, to reel back in, what we're talking about is if the ball is down low, try to put it back where it's unattackable and hit it soft. If the ball's up higher above the net, then that's a ball that you can attack. Now, there's going to be some yellow balls in that yellow zone that's kind of above the net. If you notice, most higher level players don't attack all of those balls. They'll stay off of that ball and continue crafting their point. So again, just a general rule, if it's below the net, try to put it back unattackable, hit it soft. If it's above the net, ball's attack.
I know my experience, I play in a variety of places with a variety of different levels of players, and a lot of people will try to hit a low shot over the net. They'll try to hit a drive off of that, and most of the time it just doesn't work. And they'll get lucky sometimes, get a lot of top spin and get it over the net, but more often than not, their shot just goes into the net. So I agree with that one. If it's below the net, just get it back over. Keep the ball in play. Wait for that one that you got above your waist that you can drive really well.
Well, if you can follow that mantra and make that a general rule of how you play, we always talk in percentages. Your percentages of winning points are going to go up if you can follow that rule.
A great way to work on this is, of course, sending a variety of different balls when you're drilling. Just have somebody feed you balls in a bunch of different ways. Sometimes sending it lofty, sometimes driving, whatever. We do that in our fourth shot drill. And I try to encourage everybody to send the ball every different way you can think of. And it gets you more used to hitting the ball that's game-like. And so that's a good practice for that too. And the other thing is, in your transition zone work, make sure that you have somebody feeding the ball to you a bunch of different ways, sending it down low, practice just resetting those and having them send it a little bit higher. You could practice your blocks. And of course, if it comes high enough and you see the opportunity to put the ball away or do something else with it, then that's great. But again, it's practicing those things in your drills and getting used to it so it becomes, I like to say, mental memory and not just muscle memory.
All right. So the last thing we're going to talk about, number 5, is court positioning. It basically, what we want to do here, if we hit a good shot, and by good shot, I mean a curling drop shot or just a good looping drop shot that the other team is having to reach down and hit up on, we want to move forward on a good shot on the court. Now, we might not be able to get all the way in, But on that good shot, if you can't get all the way in, move forward and take some real estate away from it. Okay. So the flip side of that is if we hit a bad shot where we get our drop up too high, or during the point we hit a bad shot and it gets up, move backwards. Either hold your ground or move back, because a harder ball, a fast ball, is fixing to come to you. So again, if your thought process is, hey, when I hit a good shot, they're reaching down, I'm coming up to take time and space away from them. If I hit a bad shot, get it either in reverse or at least hold your ground. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, if you do move back, make sure you reestablish yourself. You don't want to be moving back in the middle of the shot. So if moving back is taking 1 step, 2 steps back, but be back in that split step so that you can scoop up a ball or pick it off the hop or take it out of the air so that you're ready for whatever the next shot is. Always be in a ready position.
And you can always tell when, I know even for myself, the one leg thing, you're leaning backwards and trying to make it happen. And that's how you didn't move back when you should have. And that can just make all the difference in the world when you're not balanced and trying to hit. At that point, you really want to be hitting a drop. And so it makes it that much harder to hit your drop and get it where you want it to go when you're off balance like that. The other thought too is, like, we're talking about good shot moving forward. I'm always surprised too at how many times I see when people get a good third shot drop and don't move.
Yep. They go nowhere. Yep.
Don't move. Or one person will move and the other one doesn't. And it's like, this is a drop. We need to move forward on those drops. That's why you're doing them, to give yourself the time to get in there. But I'm still surprised at how many people that even know better and know they should be doing it, but just hit those third shot drops and don't move in.
Yeah, I know yesterday, Jeff and I were playing together, and Jeff got into a defensive. He was really on the defensive with the other pair, and I kept stepping forward instead of staying with him. And eventually the other side wised up and said, well, let's hit it at Bud's feet because he's forward. He can't do anything. So you have to stay with your partner. You have to, like you said, if it's not a good shot, you got to either hold your ground or step back.
For sure. Okay, so we had talked about this earlier. On all 5 of these things that we're talking about, we wanted to encourage people to focus on these things in rec play. And all 4 of us agreed that we're just as guilty of this as anybody. Focus on things in rec play and stop worrying about if you're winning or losing. We'll get out there against people that we know that we can overpower. We think we can overpower. A lot of times we know we can, and we can win that way. But are we really getting good out of that? And the other point I wanted to make, I think we talked this over. We think it's very possible to win games in the short term, but not necessarily improve like we should by not working on these things. If you're having trouble with drop shots, work on it. Work on it in a rec game. What difference does it matter if you win or lose? We get hung up in getting that win. Work on your drop shots that entire game. And if you stay in that process and keep yourself working on it, you're going to see in a couple of weeks, hey, my drop shots are getting better. And it's because you tried them. Don't just revert back to bang, bang, bang because they didn't work. And again, for those out there listening to us, we're all guilty of this. So we're going to try to do a better job of not worrying about wins and trying to work on specific skills during our rec play where we can get the most out of it.
Absolutely. Again, and you get into the matches where it may be unbalanced, or we also had the discussion where you're outpowered. What part of that match can I get something out of it?
Yeah.
I can't clear if I'm going to win at this point. I'm overpowered. What do I focus on? Is it just my service return? Maybe it's just that ball's coming hard at me, but I'm going to figure out how to return it. Whether it's a beautiful return at first or not, I'm going to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. So maybe by the midway through the match or towards the end of the match, I'm returning successfully against somebody who's really overpowering the ball. Maybe it's blocking at the net in those cases that you really just want to focus on those one or two things. And I know we've mentioned it before, but you have to encourage each other as you're going out to play these rec games. What are we working on today? What can we encourage each other to work on? I know that not everybody has a tremendous amount of time for big drill sessions. They don't have 2 hours during the work week because they work. They're young and they have families that they have to support. There's not a lot on the weekends that they can do. So they try to squeeze in as many matches as they can. But really stopping, take that deep breath and realize that your game is not really going to progress very quickly if all you do is get out there and just hit the ball and run. I mean, it's focus on something. And like I say, encourage each other to work on it, warm up properly, and take away something from your rec play as well.
I like that. Well said, Vicki. That's well said.
Mm-hmm. Good points.
But you reminded me of something I want to share with y'all. It might be me and you going out against two guy players that can just rip the ball, and me and you say, or we say to each other, let's see if we can control these guys' power and get them to the net to dink with us when we're serving 5 times during this match. And we might lose 11-4, but if me and you can accomplish that goal and control those guys' power, to me, that's a win.
Yep.
If they're scoring points like that, let's say they're scoring points like that against me and whoever I'm playing with, why would they do anything different?
Right.
Until we can harness the power of controlling people's power like we want to. And you got to be realistic. We're going to be able to control certain people's power that we play against. But there's always the players out there that are higher skill level than us that you're going to come up against. Don't feel bad about it.
A lot of times a good team feels like they played a bad game. We didn't play our game. Sometimes it's you taking them out of their game. It's not necessarily that they played a bad game, but you took away their power shots or whatever is their strength. You took that away from them by placing the ball, more strategically and making them hit more awkward shots.
All right, crew, that was a great discussion. And now it's time for Jeff and his Burr Under My Saddle.
You're burr under my saddle. You're a thorn sticking in my side.
Okay. This occurred to me at rec play this morning. I was playing over at Stacks, and we were having a damn fit of a time keeping up with who was number 1 server, who was number 2 server, and I didn't even realize it until the person playing with me said, well, they're not calling the number of the server. We've talked about calling the score out before, but we've all played with people. They'll call the score, but they won't call the server. People, the first thing is we're old, okay? A lot of us are old. So please call the score out. Call it out where everybody can hear it, and call the number of the server every time. It's the responsibility of all 4 players on the court to make that happen where you can keep up with what's what. And I know this is going to resonate with a lot of people because I hear it a lot of times where you don't hear the score, they don't say it, they just serve the ball. So that's this week's Burr Under My Saddle. People, call the score out and call the number of the server, please. We're old. We can't keep up with this stuff. We need your help. And Bud, if you forget, guess what? I'm going to be okay. I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
Jeff, thanks for that Burr Under My Saddle. And again, thanks for reminding me about telling the score. All right. And now it's...
Hey, Bud, I've got a shout out. All righty. Today, Bud is actually got a shout out. He's going to take it over.
Thanks, Vicki. Listen, my shout out, oddly enough, is going to be to Holly Smith. and this is going to sound funny, but one of the points she made when she was our guest a couple of weeks ago, that she watches pickleball all the time, pickleball matches. And I never really did. And I started doing that. And folks, I've learned a lot. And I think it's starting to help me. So I encourage everybody to take Holly's advice and watch pickleball. If you want to improve, watch the pros. And to some extent, I know we just had an episode where we said don't do these things, but pay attention to especially court positioning. That's the biggest thing I've noticed in watching the pros is how they position themselves on the court. I watched Annalee the other day on one of her matches, and she moves 5 or 6 steps back and forth, back toward the volley line, back toward the service line, up to the no volley line. She does that throughout the whole point, and she does it based on the way the ball is hit. So, Holly, thanks for that advice, and my shout out is to you for giving me that. And that's Vicki's shout out for this week. Hot off the press, it's time for Ken's tournament previews.
Hey, thanks, bud. Let's talk tournament previews. February 2024. February 10th is the Team Sportsplex Indoor in Baton Rouge. It's a tournament. Go to gulfcoastpb.com/tournaments. This is men's doubles and women's doubles only. Registration closes February 7th. February 13th through 15th, it's the Pickleball Jamboree at the Foley Event Center in Foley, Alabama. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. Registration closes February 2nd. There's already 220 people registered for this tournament. Scott Korth is the tournament director. He always does a good job. It should be a lot of fun. February 16th through 18th is the 5th annual Southern Hills Polar Bear Tournament in Shreveport, Louisiana. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. It's men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles. There's already 70 plus people registered for this event. February 18th, 2024, Pelican Park Outdoor Tournament in Mandeville, Louisiana. Go to gulfcoastpb.com/tournaments. This is men's doubles and women's doubles only. It's a one-day event at Pelican Park. February 23rd through 25th at the Canebrake Country Club in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. It's a beautiful country club. There's 12 outdoor permanent courts, and it should be a fun time. Staying in February, this is a new tournament that we advertised last time for the first time. It's February 23rd through 25th. This is called the Crime Stoppers Smash. It's going to be held at Stacks in Baton Rouge. We have a long URL. We put it at the bottom of the screen. Registration is officially open. It's mixed doubles only. And looking at the registration form, it says it's $20 per person for this one event. It's a 3-day tournament, but check it out at the URL below. It's called the Crime Stoppers Smash at Stacks in Baton Rouge. February 27th through March 3rd, Paddles at the Plex, Opelika, Alabama. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. There's already 400 plus people registered. This tournament will pull in 700 to 800 people. There's 24 courts undercover. They're outdoor courts, but they're undercover. This is the first class venue that I've ever played at, the best venue locally or within the Gulf Coast area. If you get a chance, go to Opelika, Alabama, and play at one of their tournaments. Let's go to March 3rd through 4th. This is the 2024 Greater New Orleans Senior Games. The pickleball will be at Coquille Park in Covington, Louisiana. We're going to put the URL at the bottom of the screen. This is for people 50 and plus. Gender doubles are on March 3rd, mixed doubles on March 4th. The deadline, as listed on the website, registration closes February 23rd. Let's see, March 15th through 17th, Mississippi Senior Games, Pops Ferry Courts in Biloxi, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. This is a qualifying year for nationals, which will be in the summer of 2025 in Des Moines, Iowa. So there'll be singles, gender doubles, and mixed doubles. And the top 3 that place gold, silver, bronze will qualify for nationals. The same weekend, March 16th, 17th, Patty's on St. Patrick's Day, St. Patty's Day. This will be in Pelican Park in Mandeville, Louisiana. We'll put the URL at the bottom of the screen. Registration has officially opened, so don't delay to sign up for that tournament. Also, the same weekend, March 15th through 17th, it's the first annual pickleball tournament at the Graywood Golf and Racquetball Club in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. It's $50 per person. There's singles, gender doubles, and mixed doubles, and there's 12 pickleball courts that will be involved for this event. The following weekend, old favorite, Pickle in the Dell at Crossgates Club in Slidell, Louisiana. Registration has officially opened now. It's at pickleballbrackets.com. This one draws a lot of people, so don't get locked out. Get in there, sign up early. Also, the same weekend, March 22nd through March 24th, it's the Battle at the Beach. It's at the new Gulf Shores Sportsplex in Gulf Shores, Alabama. These are outdoor permanent pickleball courts. It's a beautiful venue. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. It's $70 per person for this tournament. The following weekend is the Alabama Open in Clay, Alabama. Again, this is both outdoor permanent pickleball courts as well as taped tennis courts. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. Moving to April, the first weekend in April is the Miss Mississippi. It's a mixed doubles only. It's Halls Ferry Park in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. Also, the same weekend, April 6th, we have the All Play All Round Robin Pickleball Tournament. This is a fundraiser for the Slidell Cyclones 10 and under baseball team. This will be at Pelican Park in Mandeville. Guys, this is a different format. This is going to be a lot of fun. You don't need a partner. You sign up. You'll be put with your level in a group of 6, 8, 10 people. You will partner with everybody in your group to play against another team in your group. Registration has opened. It's on Global Pickleball Networks. We'll put the URL at the bottom of the screen for that tournament, but that should be a blast. Again, that's the All Play All Round Robin on April 6th. April 12th through 14th is the Hattiesburg Pickleball Classic. This one will be at Tatum Park in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. Friday is open play, Saturday gender doubles, Sunday mixed doubles. There's already 120 people registered. Marlena Martis is the tournament director. This is going to be a blast. If you don't have anything to do this weekend, head to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. The same weekend, April 12th through 14th, is the Alabama Senior Games. This will be in Opelika, Alabama. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. The following weekend, April 20th through 21st, is the second annual Dinking in the Delta in Greenwood, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. It's $50 per person. There's two main divisions, 3-5 and under and 4-0 plus. April 20th is a Pelican Park outdoor tournament. Go to www.gulfcoastpb.com/tournaments. This will be men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles at Pelican Park in Mandeville, Louisiana. April 28th, this is a pickle for a cause. This will be at Fritchie Park Gym in Slidell, Louisiana. Call for registration. We're going to put the phone number at the bottom of the screen, or we'll display the flyer. There's a QR code. Scan the QR code to register. There will be men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles. Again, the tournament is Pickleball for a Cause at Fritchie Park Gym. Let's go to May. The first weekend in May, May 3rd through 5th. This is the second Club Spring Challenge at the Club at the Township in Ridgeland, Mississippi. Go to pickleballbrackets.com to register. Let's move to August 8th through 11th, 2024. This is the second annual NOLA Pickle Fest at the Morio Convention Center in New Orleans. Go to pickleballbrackets.com. This one, look, go every day, watch, play. There's over 123 people registered. On Saturday, Drew Brees, John McEnroe will be partnered with a pro and be playing on center court. This is a great venue just to go and watch. Bring your paddle. There may be an open court or two for you to jump on. Pickle roll is the court. It's the rollout surface. There's a top-notch quality nets that they use as well. I recommend, if you haven't played on a pickle roll court, go to this tournament and just play a few games. Finally, with October, the 4th through the 6th are the Louisiana Senior Games at the Legacy in Baton Rouge. We don't have a URL as of yet to register. Keep in mind, this is a qualifying year for nationals, which will be in the summer of 2025 in Des Moines, Iowa. October 25th through 27th is the Hollow Wheel in Baton Rouge. Registration opens in April. Friday will be women's doubles, Saturday mixed doubles, Sunday men's doubles. So that's it. A lot to cover. Long preview. Back to you, bud.
All right, Ken, thanks for those reviews of the local tournaments. There's a lot of tournaments out there, folks. Let's get signed up and let's play some tournament pickleball. Hey, from the Pickleball crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave any comments and please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again and see you next week.